Hey guys, welcome back to the farm. Hey, I've got a very sensitive subject I'm gonna talk about here. We're gonna mosey on around by the ag bag site and we're gonna see if I can't help you. I've had a lot of messages on how to transition the farm, start the conversation, actually just even make a change on a farm because you're dealing with family and it's a touchy situation. On the outside, the family working together, and it is on the inside, it's a beautiful thing, but it's also can be extremely difficult. So I'm going to share some things that I did to convince my brothers and even convince my dad in the last few years of what my vision was for feeding. As you know, got away from the silos, almost out of this grain. That'll be the 6th silo we stopped using in 2 years. I put all the feed on the ground, right, wrong, or indifferent, or whatever your opinion is on it. It was a very touchy thing. I had to really drive home with the boys, and it took a long time. I want to say I beat it in their heads, but it was a very tactical way. I had to use tact to make it happen. So first and foremost, I guess the first thing I would say is you have to make sure you're extremely valuable. They're going to take you serious. We've been here for over 20 years. My brothers and I, early 40s right now. If you think that your dad or whoever's in charge is going to take you serious, you have better be very, very valuable. So valuable where they almost couldn't operate without you. And that's kind of what I did. When I was in them silos and managing them and taking care of them, I was the main guy, still am, but I knew I had a leg to stand on. There's a bull out there with a couple cows trying to breed. So you've got to be living right, have a healthy lifestyle, you know, because a lot of you farmers know this. Some of you non-farmers might, you know, but your family or whoever it is, they'll use anything against you they can. So you got to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. So be extremely valuable, day in, day out, 20 years, 7 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever your guys' schedule is. You know, you're not a Debbie Downer. You're not a big whine. You're not a whine butt. You're doing the right things. You're not coming in late, getting drunk. You're taking care. You know, you're wanting to expand. So that's got to be first and foremost before I say anything else. If you're not like that, then you don't have a prayer. But if you've been kicking butt and you're doing the right things, then they're going to be forced to have to listen to you. And I know that sometimes if you put the ultimatum where you're going to leave the farm, and there's some stubborn guys out there, and they'll let you go. They'll lose a good man because of their pride, and it's kind of sickening if you think about it, but hopefully that's not the case. So if you're doing good, you're a stand-up person, not coming in late, not drinking, getting crazy, first thing you got to do, the first thing I did rather, is I learned the history of our farm. We lost my mom tragically 5 years ago, and I ended up getting all the paperwork and all the original deeds and everything that she kept, you know, that she got from my grandmother. So I knew the progression of this farm. Plus there were some pictures kind of tailed off in the early 2000s with digital cameras, but I got a lot of stuff, and I see how the barns were built in the years and when my grandpa tailed off and then my dad started kicking butt and going. So you can almost use their progression, use that as a template. You know, like for example, when I wanted to do this footprint of this bag, we're talking almost an acre here. Oh, that was sacrilegious. They thought I was insane for wanting to gravel this whole thing. They thought you're taking up all this good manure. There's that back bull. He's starting to get ornery on me. You little sucker. That's Mike Tyson Jr. But they thought I was nuts to cover up this. This is some good soil cow manure, but I knew with a level playing field, or you know, that this would be a good ideal spot. Now, if it was a big hill or whatever, I just knew the groundwork of the idea, the premise of it would work. So I had to start driving it home. Anytime you're trying to improve, And whatever you're trying to do, this could apply to it. Them silos, in my mind, were just too dangerous. People were dying all over the country. Guys were getting left with, leaving their wife and kids with nothing. You know, without a dad. And as soon as I seen that and I realized these things are from the 70s, 80s, I'm like, I've got to make this change. So I'd hit them hard, hit them with the facts. I'm like, look, I've got 5 kids. I'm not risking my life in a silo to feed cows. And I kept driving that home. It took a couple years, but as long as you can communicate that what you're trying to do is for the future of the farm. I mean, drill that into your mind. This is for the future of the farm. The same thing you did, Dad. The same thing, whoever you're talking to. This is so we can secure the future. Oh, and one thing I didn't tell you. I'm putting this video out pre-holidays. So if you're going to get into this, you can start planting seeds with the family. But I would probably wait till I really got into it after New Year's. Like start January 2nd or something. Let them have the holidays, because a lot of passionate conversations can happen, and we don't need people fighting over the holidays. But so stay calm, but speak with passion. And that way, you know, because you care. This is your lifestyle. This is your life. You're trying to do the best you can of what you know. I can tell you, every decade changes with farms, and this world changes every day. And this is what I said. What we're doing today is not going to keep us going in 10, 20, 30 years. We're going to have to eventually tweak something. Back to this ag bag site. I seen my dad in late 90s had expanded past the pasture field over there, and he put a big circle driveway in. He had to take out a couple buildings, a couple corn cribs, really cleaned the whole farm up. Boom, made it. And this was all field. What you're looking at right now. And I've got a drain coming right through here. I knew where to stop these bags. I would have used 300 footers, but the drain comes right through here, and that's juice. That's juice coming out of them bags. It goes right through there. So I said, look, Dad, there's no difference. And I had to get Dad. I used him as an ally, is to try to convince my brothers. But every situation is different. Every farm's different. So if you can get an ally, like it might be your mom, or it might be another partner on the farm, or whatever the case may be, it's best if you can get someone that'll just, even if it's not an ally, just someone at least that will listen. Because a lot of times you'll start talking and they'll just shut you up. Hey, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. My answer to that is, well, then when are we going to talk about it? And when they just keep saying that every time, and eventually say, look, at some point we're going to have to sit down and we're going to have to figure this out. What I knew with this silo, back to what happened, what I did, I knew I could sustain, I could do that for probably another, barring one of them fell down on me or someone got killed in one. I had another 10, 15, 20 years in me easily doing that. But I knew if I did it for another 10 years, I'm going to be 53 years old. And I'm going to be beat up a little bit. And I'm going to go. I just told the boys this. I said, if we keep on where we're going now, in 10 years, we're just going to quit. We're just going to say, we're getting older. Let's just scrap the cows and start crop farming. When if you can crop farm and dairy farm, you're a 1-2 punch. You can hit the, right now milk's down. If you guys didn't know that, milk is low. Farmers are hurting. Crops are just as bad. So it's kind of a rare double whammy. But usually if crops are up, milk down, milk might be up, then crops are down. So they play off each other. But right now we're kind of in a double whammy. But you got to stay the course. We're in it for the long term. That's what you tell them. The future, we want this to go on as long as we can. My dad, once I learned the sequence of what he did, I don't want to say I used it against him or the boys, but I played it where, look, talking about now farm succession, Dad was 28 years old when him and Mom took ownership of the farm. That was 1984. And I've got 2 brothers here, 3 sons. We're 40. So where did that, I don't know where that went, kind of got out of whack. And that's common. Seen a lot of guys, that are in their 70s that are not transitioning that farm. Again, this is assuming that you're a stand-up guy and you don't have a drinking problem and you're not an idiot. But eventually, I can tell you from owning the farm now with my brothers for the last 2 years, I've made a lot of changes. And my accountant said this when he was helping mediate what we were doing. He said that you're going to find out it's different. You're going to operate different when you own the farm. It's different when you're the owner and you know that it falls on you. Like I told the boys, as serious as we have to take this, if something happened to this farm, God forbid, and financial struggles, went out of business, you think they're blaming my dad? Heck no. He did what he did. He built what he built, which was a lot, and it's us to keep it going. He's not getting blamed for anything. The guy's been running the farm since 1984. Something happens this place, it's on us. So I'm going to do everything in my power, no matter what, to keep this place going and keep everybody safe. We went through a tragedy in 2010. I was 28 years old. I almost went down with the guy. If you make it out of it, like you said, we lost a man. Try to deal with that, let alone living through it. If you lived through it like I did, it'll slow you down 10 years. I mean, the first 5 years after that, you could be, and in my case, just state of depression, you're getting sued. You know, just so many different things. You know, you're living in a state of fear, a state of, you're retracting. You know, you're not growing. You're not even thinking about the future. You're just trying to survive. I don't wish that on anybody. So that's where I come back to my safety. It's like, you have something happens, dude, you don't even know that you'll lose a decade, boom, just like that. If you even come out of it. So we've come out of it, and I've learned from that take care of yourself and stay together and day by day, and live in the present, but plan for the future. Learn from the past, but don't dwell on it. So that's probably my biggest, if I wanted you to take anything away from this, is use safety. If it's gonna make you safer, use that as your to drive it home. I mean, and then learn your history, use the past to your advantage, because I can tell you right now, and my dad would vouch for this, my grandpa thought my dad was out of his mind when he started building heifer barns and doing things like that. And my dad never really was against me doing things around here, but I had brothers. I got one that's super conservative, and then the other one that's kind of in the middle. So the guy that was in the middle, I honed in on him. I had to get him on board, and then I slowly worked on that. My other one, this can be years. This can be a year. So, but like, learn your history, use the past for your advantage, stay calm. I mean, there was times that I blew my top, and that we all did. It's not, I don't want to say it's not worth that, because sometimes you have to blow your top, I guess, to get a point across. But for the most part, try to stay calm, preach the vision. I mean, almost daily, to where you're forcing them to face it, and just say, and just keep. If it's a good enough change, you just say, hey, if we don't address this in 5, 10, 15 years, we're going to peter out. It's not sustainable. You know, preach that sustainability. I always never really cared for that word, but it's the truth. You've got to be able to go on for decades. I had guys comment that before when I was doing them silos, and I was working my butt off in them things. And guys are like, Kip, what you're doing is great. You're a hard worker kicking butt, but you need to stop looking at the years and start saying, how am I going to piece decades together? How am I going to be able to sustain this for decades? What I did with this bagging, yeah, it's kind of goofy, you know, we're not used to it, but you know, hey, I could have my dad load that mixer at 71 years old. He stopped going in them silos at 50. He wasn't no fool. And I used to think, man, Dad stopped doing silos at 50 when I was younger. I stopped doing it at 40, 43. I guess the moral of the story is just try to use your heads. And remember, in the end, it's all family. But you just think before you get into it. Start writing things down. Have a plan. Do your pros and cons. Figure out the cost. This gravel pad was 10 grand. You lose a life. What's a life worth? Over $1 million? I mean, and I used to say this all the time. Well, you guys act like if you get killed in the silo, they're gonna come down and give you a Medal of Honor. They ain't giving you nothing. You're gonna get an award for not evolving and not using your brain. You're gonna get your wife and kids are gonna grow up without you, bud. So I'm just using them silos as an example, because I'm very passionate about that, especially when that guy got killed in Pennsylvania a few years ago, fell over when he was in it. Damn shame. Just stuff like that, man. I can't stand it. You know, you do that to someone who's got little kids and stuff. The guy's just trying to work on the farm, but stuff's getting old. Nothing lasts forever. So on that note, I wanted to get this out before Thanksgiving. Guys, be safe. I hope that helps whoever needed to hear that. Like I said, I've gotten a lot of messages about it. I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. Dad pretty much gave us the whole place for the most part. I mean, we got lucky that he and that's what any father would want. I mean, that's what I want for my kids, but I hope it's the same for you guys someday. I hope that you guys can continue on your family farms, and then I hope if you're working with brothers or partners that if you put an argument together well enough, you force them to listen to you. And that's what I did. So, but like I said, I'm one of the lucky ones. I just got lucky, but I used specific tactics, but a lot of luck involved. God was looking out for me, and I had Mom above definitely looking out for me. So on that note, guys, take care. Have a happy Thanksgiving. See you next one. God bless.